Here are my note cards. Could you imagine taking 50,000 people and walking 200 miles all the way to Seaside just to get salt? Well, this is what Mohandas Gandhi did with many Indians. He did this all against British rule. And I will be informing you guys about Mohandas Gandhi, some things about his life, what he stood for, and most importantly, how he wanted independence against the British. To start off with some background information, according to Phil Pseudo, the author of Legacy of Gandhi, he says that Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869. He was born in Porbandar, India, and his main title as a person was a religious leader. Also, according to Phil Pseudo, educationally, he states that Gandhi was an average student, but he did end up making his way into law school. This led to him going to South Africa on a one-year law assignment, and that also led to him staying in South Africa for 21 years. This is where Gandhi began facing discrimination against him and other Indians in South Africa, which led him to form some nonviolent protests, and he began speaking out about the discrimination. And at age 24, he spoke his first public speech. This was about all of this discrimination happening against the Indians, and between that and the nonviolent protests, he did gain many victories, which gave him a heroic status back in India when he decided to return home to India in 1915. The Indians there called him Mahatma, meaning great soul, and this was because he was viewed as a hero for all of the victories he got the Indians in South Africa. Also, according to Phil Pseudo, India is colonized by Great Britain in 1858. This leads Gandhi to be unhappy because he is losing his independence along with all of his other fellow Indians. So he gets millions of poor Indians and starts forming nonviolent protests against the British. He organizes strikes, sit-downs, non-payment of taxes, as well as he boycotts British goods. There does come punishments with these actions. He ends up getting arrested several times by British law enforcement, and he ends up facing a total of 7 years in prison. In an article called "To Every Englishman in India," there is no specific author of this article, but it is from Gale, World History in Context. This article just gives a letter that Gandhi wrote. It is called "To Every Englishman in India," and the author of that is Mohandas Gandhi himself. He basically in this letter addresses problems and unfair policies imposed by the British. He does in a way try to reason with the British in this letter rather than arguing with them. A specific quote from Mohandas Gandhi in this letter states, "I would not raise my hand against you even if I had the power. I expect to conquer you only by my suffering." So this shows the type of person Gandhi was. He was willing to fight, but not with any violence. And even if he had the power to use physical force or violence, he still would not. He would do it rather with suffering, going without, or boycotting goods, for instance. Again, according to Phil Pseudo in Legacy of Gandhi, he describes how Gandhi died. In 1947, Gandhi did gain his independence from Great Britain and India. Although he achieved independence, he still could not resolve the hatred between the Muslims and the Hindus, They disliked each other greatly, and because of his tolerance for the Muslims, a Hindu nationalist was angered by this and ended up shooting and killing Mohandas Gandhi on January 30th, 1948. Gandhi was 78 when he died. So those are some important facts and details of Gandhi's life. It really shows how he was very in favor of independence and what he's willing to do for the independence. And he definitely did not want any violence in his actions. Never used violence in anything he did, which is pretty significant and in a way original. He definitely fought for what he believed in and wanted what was right. And he was willing to do or take many measures to get the independence he deserved. And that is what I have for you guys. Thank you for listening.